Good afternoon, folks. This afternoon's topic A is titled Daily Life Training in Alzheimer's Care. Okay, so I'm going to go through that for you today for A. So please join me for today's discussion. Here we go. Daily Life Training in Alzheimer's Care is about strengthening and preserving activities of daily living, ADLs, the essential self-care tasks that allow a person to function with dignity and autonomy. These include bathing, dressing, toileting, eating, transferring, and continence. They seem simple, but they are the backbone of independence. When we support someone in maintaining these abilities, we're not just helping them do tasks, we're protecting dignity or identity, confidence, and emotional well being. What ADLs are and why they're foundational. ADLs are the core survival skills of daily life, distinct from the more complex instrumental activities of daily living. ADLs like managing money, cooking, or shopping. Basic ADLs: bathing, dressing, toileting, eating, transferring, continence. Why they matter. As Alzheimer's progresses, these skills decline in predictable patterns. Training and adaptation help people retain abilities longer, reduce distress, and maintain a sense of control. The deeper impact: when someone can still dress themselves or participate in their own bathing routine, it reinforces dignity and reduces the emotional fallout of dependence, frustration, withdrawal, or agitation. Why ADL training works. ADL training taps into procedural memory, the type of memory that often remains intact longer than short-term recall. Repetition, routine, and hands-on practice help the brain hold on to familiar movements, even as other cognitive abilities fade. This kind of training has been shown to slow functional decline, reduce agitation and behavioral symptoms, improve mood and confidence, lower caregiver stress, enhance safety, and reduce falls. This is it's a powerful reminder that Alzheimer's care is not just about medications, it's about daily life, structure, and meaningful participation. Practical ADL training strategies caregivers can use. These approaches work across stages of Alzheimer's and can be adapted to any home or care setting. Break tasks into micro steps. Instead of getting dressed, try put your arm in this sleeve, then pause. Small steps reduce overwhelm. Use visual and physical cueing. Demonstrate the movement or start the task for them. Hand under hand guidance can be grounded and respectful. Simplify, don't eliminate. If buttoning is too hard, switch to Velcro or elastic waistbands. But keep the person involved in choosing clothes or putting garments on. Create a calm, predictable environment. Reduce noise, clutter, and competing stimuli. Label drawers. Use contrasting colors to help with depth perception. Lean on routine and rhythm. Doing tasks the same time each day strengthens procedural memory and reduces anxiety. Examples of adapted ADL activities: dressing, lay out clothes in the order they're put on. Offer two simple choices. Use adaptive clothing. Bathing, warm the room. Use a shower chair. Keep steps short and calm. Consider towel. Consider towel baths if showers cause fear. Eating, use finger foods, adaptive utensils and plates with high contrasts. Keep the table free of distractions. When to bring in professionals. If ADL's if ADL loss is affected, safety, falls, weight loss, missed toiletry cues, or resistance to bathing, it's time to involve an occupational therapist. OT. OTs can assess the home for safety, create personalized ADL training plans, recommend adaptive equipment, teach caregivers step-by-step techniques. And in Pennsylvania, your local Alzheimer's Association chapter can connect you with OT caregivers. Classes and activity toolkits tailored to your situation. Quick caregiver checklist. Assess which ADLs are slipping. Train one skill at a time. Adapt the environment support with cueing and routine, celebrate every success, call an OT or Alzheimer's Association when safety becomes a concern. Okay, here's the second half of A, guys. Adapting activities for people with Alzheimer's disease, a deeper, fuller explanation. The National Institute on Aging page you're viewing is essentially a practical roadmap for, per, for preserving joy, dignity, and engagement as Alzheimer's progresses, rather than focusing on what a person can no longer do. It reframes daily life around what remains possible and how caregivers can shape activities so they feel meaningful instead of at the heart of the page argues that activities activity is not optional. In Alzheimer's care, people still this need stimulation, purpose, and connection, but the form of these activities must evolve. The caregiver's role becomes one of gentle adaptation, adjusting expectations, simplifying steps, and creating conditions where the person can succeed. Core principles the page emphasizes. These principles appear throughout the page and form the backbone of its guidance. Match the activity to the person's current abilities. The goal is not to push or train, but to meet the person where they are. Activities should be chosen and modified so the person can still participate without feeling lost or embarrassed. 2. Provide initiation, structure, and cues. People with Alzheimer's often struggle with starting tasks even when they still enjoy them. Caregivers can set up materials, demonstrate the first step, offer underhand guidance, break into small, doable actions. 3. Prioritize enjoyment and emotional success. The page repeatedly stresses that fun, comfort, and confidence matter more than productivity. Even simple watching an activity can be satisfying. 4. Watch for frustration and adjust. Caregivers are encouraged to observe body language, energy levels, and mood. and to pivot quickly if the activity becomes stressful. Keep things familiar, social, and routine based. Familiar music, long held spiritual practices, known recipes, and predictable daily rhythms help anchor the person in comfort and memory. Activity categories and how to adapt them. The page organizes activities into real life settings, offering concrete examples and that caregivers can use immediately at home. The home section highlights activities that tap into procedural memory and long term held habits. Cooking, baking, measuring, mixing, or simply giving instructions for a favorite recipe. Exercise, walking, stretching, tossing a balloon, or following gentle, senior friendly videos. Music and dancing, listening, reminiscing about songs, singing, or attending community programs. Pets, feeding, brushing, walking, or simply holding a pet. Gardening, watering plants, planting flowers, or talking about how things grow. Chores, folding laundry, sorting mail, setting the table, or sweeping. Children, reading stories, simple games, or visiting parks and school events. These are these are things that you can do with your person with dementia to keep them engaged, even though they're losing abilities. You can still tap into those on good days. Now, people with dementia, they have good days and bad days, so you have to see where they're at for that day. You have to step into their world for a little bit to see where their mind is, because the dementia mind is different than a regular person. But the person they used to be, folks, is still in there, but you have to go see where they're at that moment. These activities work because they are familiar, sensory rich, and often tied to identity on or going out. The page encourages continuing outings as long as they feel comfortable. Key strategies include choosing times of day when the person is most alert, keeping trips short, avoid overstimulation, visiting familiar places like parks, museums, or favorite restaurants. Senior centers are highlighted as both an activity and a form of respite for caregivers. Eating at a restaurant, dining out can be enjoyable, but requires planning. Choose a choose quiet restaurants with quick service. Go during off hours. Bring familiar utensils or wipes. Help with menu choices using pictures or simple options. Ask for a table near the bathroom. These, these adaptations reduce sensory overload and decision fatigue. Traveling. Travel is framed as possible but challenging. The page advises talking with your doctor beforehand, choosing the least stressful mode of transportation, packing familiar comfort items, maintaining home routines as much as possible, planning rest periods for folks. Ensuring the person carries ID in case they become lost. The emphasis is on predictability and safety. Spiritual activities, faith-based faith practices can be deeply grounding. The page suggests involving the person in familiar rituals, using sacred music player or readings. Informing faith communities so they can offer supportive dementia aware interactions, using online services if in person attendance is overwhelming. This selection recognizes that emotional and identity affirming of power of spirituality. Holidays. Holidays can be stressful for caregivers and confusing for the person with Alzheimer's. The page recommends simplifying traditions. Creating quiet spaces for breaks, limiting visitors, avoiding crowds, and major routine changes, keeping favorite rituals, asking others to help so the caregiver can enjoy the holiday too. The message is clear: holidays can still be meaningful, but they must be adapted. Why these adaptations matter. Across the page, the underlying theme is that adapted activities preserve dignity and identity, reduce anxiety, confusion, and behavioral symptoms, strengthen emotional connection, support physical health, give caregivers structure and predictability, transform daily life from a series of challenges to moments of success. This is not just about keeping busy, it's about maintaining humanity and joy in the face of cognitive change. More detailed caregiver checklist has an expanded version of the page's guideline, drilled into actionable steps. Assess what the person can still do physically, cognitively, and emotionally. Simplify tasks into small, available steps. Cue Start the activity with a demonstration, setup, or gentle prompts. Choose activities tied to long-held habits, interests, or sensory pleasures. Plan outings and holidays around routine, quiet spaces, and low stimulation. Observe signs of fatigue or frustration and adjust immediately. Include social, spiritual connections that feel familiar and comforting. Use resources like the NIA Adair Center, Alzheimer's Association, and caregiver support networks for ongoing guidance. Okay, guys, that's your A for today. And we'll see everybody later tonight for more shows or tomorrow. For now, Gator Wellness, take care, folks.